Getting back to riding after a long break. Before I came off of Indy, I'm sure you guys saw some of that post back in 2017. It had been a year since my hysterectomy. Well, I'll backtrack. We had been living in Texas about 8 or 9 years. We were at a property for 5 years on 10 acres, had 5 horses roaming the 10 acres. I was teaching there. We had a beautiful dressage court, and I was doing mobile training, very active. And then that house was lost to a fire. We got all the animals out, and we were kind of displaced for a while. But we found a wonderful boarding facility, really cool trainer that allowed me to come and do lessons there. And I started teaching full-time again. And then I started having a lot of issues with my body, fibroids in the uterus, and had to send that away. So had a hysterectomy. That was June of 2016. And so then it took a good 4 months before I could feel I could do like a proper sitting trot on Bentley. And then right about December, January, I started to get back in my groove. It was about 6-7 months. And I was starting to ride more full time. I actually had 5 horses I was riding regularly. I had roughly 10 to 12 students between 2 different barns. So I was very active, and I was also helping to feed about 25 horses or so at each barn whenever I was able to. So I was super active, and I was treating myself like an athlete. I was eating well, I was drinking lots of water, I was sleeping well. Had no choice at that point. I was doing so many things. So I was starting to do clinics with Indy, and you know that long story with him. He had a lot of issues, and I had to go really slowly, just building my confidence up on him. And we were doing really well, and we had been going in just this little tiny Wintec saddle, and he loved it, and he was going fine in it. But for some reason, I wanted a fancy dressage saddle instead. So I got it, and the first 2 rides or so were pretty good. And then the 3rd ride, I got the sense that I should lunge him, but I did not. And I was a little bit tired because of all the things I've been doing. And I rode him around. We did pretty well. And my husband was right there, thank goodness. And I said to him, I think I'm just going to trot one more time. And Indy did this like head twist that he does. I call it the thoroughbred head twist. Turns his head back and forth and goes, like, are you sure? That was my sign. I did not listen. So we went around the corner, he spooked, bucked, and I was in the air before I even knew it was happening. Sorry about the puppies. And my husband said he saw me aiming for my head, and I was able to, in midair, go, no, feet, feet, feet. And I was able to shift my body, and then I landed on my foot, and it gave out, and then my knee tore. So I tore my ACL and my MCL in my knee. And I just sat there in pain, going, okay, things are about to change. So poor Indy standing over me like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's not your fault. I know it was just bad moment. It just spooked, and I had nowhere to go at that point. So, it wasn't his fault at all. In any case, it took a month before the doctor would do surgery on me because he wanted the swelling to go down. So imagine being broken basically for a whole month on crutches, trying to go about your day in severe pain, and then getting pushed in physical therapy. So that was even before the surgery. And then I had the surgery done. So that was in July. I had the surgery done in August. And I started to recover slowly. And they said maybe 9 months before I could ride. At the 6-month mark, we had moved to Atlanta at this point. I was working on my very first online course, the Discovery course. So some of you guys have that. And I was very much in my mind and not in my heart, and I was not listening to my intuition, and I was just trying to figure out a way to make money when I couldn't teach, and I was just in my head too much and just very frazzled all the time. So I was going out with my husband to do some errands, and he was getting that car ready for the dogs to join us to go on a little trip. And I went on a little trip. So I was just buzzing around the house, didn't see a dog bone, and I slipped on tile and broke my femur on the same leg as my knee. I won't even go into that pain, but I immediately had to have surgery that weekend, and I have a 9-inch plate in my leg as well as the hardware in my knee. So that was February of 2018. Okay, so then I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be at least another year before I can ride again. And at that point I was getting very depressed and very sad, and I kept it from a lot of people, but the ones close to me knew how bummed I was. But overall, it was devastating. And for me to be able to ride every day was a normal thing. And then it was just like I had to wait so much longer. So it was just, my heart was just, it was just broken at that point. But I did my best, and I found a physical therapist that knew horseback riding. I actually Googled equestrian physical therapist, and I found one in Atlanta who was on the equestrian team, and I reached out to her. I'm like, will you see me? I know I'm not in your area. And she was very gracious, and she's become one of my dear friends, and she's the one you see riding Indy now. And that made all the difference, because she knew exactly what I needed to do to get back in the saddle, to push myself, and then also know when to rest. So I was able to reach out to her anytime and say, hey, should I push a little more or should I rest? She's like, no, rest and ice it this day, and it just took so long. But what I did is I continued visualizing. I continued doing a ton of meditations. The Headspace app was really valuable to me. And now I've created my own meditations for equestrians, and I use my own now, and I listen to them all the time, and they're so helpful. And it helps you stay in a space where you're in appreciation mode, even if you're in pain. So you can think, okay, well, I'm still alive. I'm going to be able to do things again. And it helps you shift your whole perspective. So let me go to my notes. I know I've gone off on a tangent a little bit. But basically, what I wanted to tell you then is, so that happened in February of 2018. In August of 2018, the day before my birthday, they surprised me and let me sit on Bentley. They, meaning my husband and my physical therapist, came down to visit. And she was getting ready to ride as if she was going to hop on Bentley. And then my husband hands me my helmet. And I looked at him like, wait, what? And it had been since July 10th, 2017, all the way to August 25th, 2018. So almost a year and a half. And 12 months, for something like that. In any case, I got on, and all I could do was just start crying. I was like, I'm finally in the saddle. But you know what it was? I got on a Western saddle. I'm usually riding English, on my most steady horse, which is Bentley. And once I got on, I had my support team right there, and I only used one stirrup. So I did get on with the hurt leg, but we were practicing, and that was something she was really adamant about. I had to go up and down steps a lot, and higher steps than I even really needed, so I could push myself up a higher level. And you'll hear that a lot. So if you're going to a competition, you should be training yourself one level higher than what you're actually going to be doing. And so she was very clever about that. She had me push my body a little further to where she knew by the time I put my foot in the stirrup, I would be okay. And it was a little scary, I have to admit. So I literally walked one lap around the pasture, came back and went, okay, that's good for now. And I just went so slow. So then I looked back at my memories. It wasn't until May of the next year, so almost 9 months, that I felt comfortable to canter on Bentley. Now, he has a huge canter. But before that, in January, February that year, in 2019, I started working with Little Red Velvet Cupcake, my client's pony, and she helped me build up my confidence and strength because she was much shorter. It was easier for me to get on and off. So the point is, make sure you find a horse or an instructor or some kind of support team that can help you, even if you need to get on for like 30 seconds and then hop back off. That's okay. And then the next ride you get on for a minute and then hop back off. And you go really slowly and you walk for a really long time. And even if you need to ride with one stirrup, like I had to, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. So, okay, now I'm going to go into more specific tips, and then I'm going to go over all the questions that you guys had. So the tips I had actually written them out, so I can tag any of you if you guys want to see it, but I'm going to just read them a little bit. So, of course, what I said first is treat yourself like an athlete. Do the exercises you need to do. Listen to your physical therapist. Sleep as much as you can. Sleep is a superpower, I promise. Eat really well. Try to eat clean. Less sugar, more greens. You know, the basics. And then the next one is creative visualization. So I know I mentioned it. If you can just take 3 minutes a day, I'm not kidding, just 3 minutes, and put a reminder on your phone and get really quiet and imagine every single detail of your most amazing ride ever and feel your body doing the ride with your horse. That is going to make a huge difference in your comeback, because you will feel like you're just in the game and your mind does not know the difference between real or imagined. I know I mentioned it before, but I'm going to say it again. That basketball study where they took 3 groups of basketball players practicing the 3-point shot. So they had one group that physically practiced it, one that only visualized it, and a third group that did nothing. The ones who physically did it improved by, I think, 24%. The ones who visualized it improved by 23%. And the group that did nothing didn't improve at all. So our minds are so powerful. We can create new neural pathways just by repeatedly thinking different thoughts. And that's really critical when you're shifting back to, okay, I'm getting back to riding. I want to feel safe. So anytime a negative thought comes in, that's my third tip. You want to flip the script. So what you can do, I write down every single thought that you have. And then you look at it regarding riding, of course, or anything really, but mostly regarding riding. You write down your thoughts and you look at it and you see, okay, what's really holding me back? What's not productive? What's negative? Let's flip it. How can I make it more productive? So really do this exercise and you're going to be surprised, like, oh, wait. Some of you might go, wow, I'm thinking really negatively. And others might go, oh, this isn't so bad. I'm actually on a good track. So everyone's going to be different, just like horses. But the more you can start saying things to yourself and reprogramming yourself. Think of yourself like computer software. I started making a shift every night before I go to sleep. I say I'm going to fall asleep easily. I'm going to wake up feeling refreshed. I'm going to wake up feeling amazing and ready to start my day. And I've really shifted my whole life that way, because I used to wake up feeling really swollen from working out and doing all these things. And as soon as I started saying that, the swelling would just not happen anymore. I'm like, this is amazing. So don't discount this. Think about what you say to yourself and help yourself reprogram. And you can even write things next to your bedside table or something to help remind you. Okay, so then another one is, think about it right now. Notice in your day when you're holding tension and see if you can release it and breathe it out, and see if you can soften and just let go of any tension that's holding you back throughout your day. Because what will happen is, if you start to soften more, you're going to have more energy. Because holding tension, it's draining, it's exhausting. So every once in a while, just go, oh yeah, I need to stretch, I need to lay on the floor and just let things go. Whatever you need to do, and then have your puppies kiss you. That's really fun. So do what you need to do to release tension, and that's going to help you a ton. All right, let me go to the next one. So the next tip is tuning into your inner guidance. That one's my favorite. So what you can do is literally ask yourself what you need to feel better about getting back into riding. And if you want to just do basic meditation, you can listen to a guided meditation. The body wisdom one's really great. Also the heart wisdom as well. Or you can just sit with a journal and just ask yourself what you need. And, you know, it doesn't have to be one time. It could be many times, and let it be a journey, because that's really what it's about, is giving yourself the grace for exploring and experimenting to what feels better for you. Okay, and then the next level, of course, is breathing into your heart, breathing into your horse's heart, letting them connect, and then ask your horse what they need. Ask what they need to feel better about you riding them. It wasn't until like a year or so into getting back into the swing of things where I thought, okay, I think I'm ready to find my pony. Like, I knew I wanted my own pony. And then I had surgery again. We discovered through some severe pain in my side that my stomach was in my chest. And so in 2019, in August, on my birthday, I had surgery. It was a hiatal hernia. So they brought my stomach from my chest back down where it needed to be. Yeah, so that was another 3 months before I was allowed to ride again. And then finally, January, full on, I started looking for my pony, and Pepper showed up in February 2020, right before shutdown. So it was like, whew, I got my pony, coronavirus started taking over, we couldn't go anywhere, but I was like, well, I can just focus on him and make videos with him, and I felt very blessed at that point that I could recover and enjoy growing with him. So ask your horse what they need, and he's very clear about what he needs all the time, which I'm very grateful about. Okay, so the next part is, if your horse has not been ridden in a while, which is very common, find yourself a trusted friend or a trainer that can help you and put in the first rides. Because unless you totally trust this horse, something like for me with Bentley, I knew without a doubt he would take care of me. He would always treat me like precious cargo. But if you have a doubt, let someone else who is more used to riding hop on and give you the clear that the horse is ready. And if you're not sure, let them keep riding, and then find yourself a schoolmaster or another steady horse to get yourself back into it. That's really important, because if you're going with any kind of hesitation with a horse that's not sure about you, you're just setting yourself up for a possible injury again. So that's some hard truth, but it's important for you to know, and it's important for you to seek out help. And that's something I think horse people have a hard time with sometimes. We all just want to do it all ourselves, but if you can just reach out and just find someone, even if you find a really great rider to just lease your horse for a while to help get them in shape, that could be a really good thing. And then that could help you financially as well. So just an idea there for you. And then let's see, what else did I write here? You can also, like I mentioned, have your support team right there when you start riding. You can even have them give you a pony ride. Let your ego go away and just know eventually you will get back to where you were before. And you're just going to have to relax into the idea, like, I'm recovering and every stride counts and I will get there. And just give yourself grace. Like I said, let yourself experiment and go, what if I can just do one more extra step here? Oh, maybe not. And really feel into what your body's telling you and what your horse is cool with as well. And yeah, just be okay with just going a few minutes at a time. All right, so now I'm going to go into the questions here. Okay, so we're starting with Connie's question. She asked how to overcome fear of getting hurt. So if you can find a way to build your strength up out of the saddle. Hi, Tamar, I'm glad you're here. So if you can find your way to build your strength, your physical therapist will know best. I know Connie and I had exchanged messages quickly on that comment stream. It's imperative to find someone who knows riding and understands what you need to do in order to get back in the saddle. Build strength. Once you are more physically strong, once you're stronger physically, there we go, grammar, it's early, you're going to feel stronger mentally. Because if there's a doubt that your body can handle things, then you're not going to feel all that secure about getting in the saddle. So do what you need to do. If you need to do some extra squats, if you need to do some extra walking, extra yoga, Pilates, whatever you need to do, just play around with different strength training. And, you know, I get in the gym. I'm not a fan of exercise, but I get in there and I pretend I'm Wonder Woman and I have to go, like, save people. And that's what gets me motivated. And I get in there like, okay, I've got this. And then I think about how proud Pepper feels when I feel really spot on. And I tap into that energy as well. Like, oh, yeah, my horse wants me to feel like this because he wants to dance with me in an even nicer way. And he can carry me better. So push yourself as much as you can in a safe way to get stronger. So that's my first advice. Second is find an instructor who will be really kind and understand how slow you need to go. And I'm talking, I've had clients, remote lessons, where she would stand at the mounting block and that's all we did for the whole lesson. And she might put a foot in the stirrup or she might not. And I was totally cool with holding space for that. And if that's how slow you need to go to build up your confidence, it is what it is. I'm not going to push you and make you feel horrible for not being able to do it, because I know I've been there. So then once you actually get there, and if it's very much like when you're asking a horse to load in a trailer or float, like if you're like, got to do it right now, there's all that pressure and it feels terrible. But if you say, I have all year to get you in that trailer, then there's a lightness about it. And then sure enough, I told her, I'm like, let's give yourself 2 months before you even get in the saddle. By the third lesson, she got on. So, you know, you give yourself that feeling of, I have lots of space, I have lots of time, and then all of a sudden things get easier rather than putting that pressure on yourself. So I think that's really important to think about. So definitely find yourself some support, and if you want, I can do remote lessons with you as well if you have the technology where you are, and ask me about that and I can help you. So also find a trusted horse. A steady Eddie is what I call them. And make sure, sorry, the puppy distracted me. Make sure you feel really safe and that they will take care of you. That is really important. And then the next is find yourself really good safety equipment. I'm talking high-end vest, even the hit air vest that blows up like a balloon if you pop off. Really good helmet with the MIPS system, which helps with preventing TBIs. So put the money into the safety equipment and you'll have less potential hospital bills. Okay, say that again. Get the good stuff, okay? And that will help you relax as well. Like, okay, I'm protected. That will be good. And I've even told a client, put some fun bling on it so it doesn't feel like so boring. You know, make it exciting. Like, oh, I've got my fancy vest on, like you're a superhero. Oh yes, love those steady eddies, Margaret. They're so amazing. It's amazing what they do for us. Okay, and then go through the tips that I mentioned, especially the creative visualization, Connie. So hopefully that will help you. Of course, the meditations will help. So highly recommend you doing that and going through all of them. They all have different themes and they will all help you get back and feeling more confident. So yeah, big steps to simulate the mounting block. That's really important. I had to do a lot of squats holding weight. That helped strengthen my legs. And of course the treadmill, that was imperative. Just get myself moving. And then a lot of specific exercises for my injury. So I had to do like what they call the clamshell, where I had to move my legs out and in, out and in. And then a lot of heel slides to move my knee back and forth. So it was a lot. And I just kept doing it. And Audible helped. I listened to so many Audible books to help motivate. It was great. Yeah, and then of course, connecting with the horses, that's just something I do naturally. You can just breathe into your heart, breathe into your horse's heart and chat with them and let them know that you're thinking of them. Even if you can't ride, you can invite them into your visualization and say, hey, do you want to go on a ride in my mind right now, in my heart? And that way you can help stay connected that way. And I think that's really fun. So now we're going to move on to Penny. Penny wanted to know how to overcome fear of not being able to ride like she used to. That's a hard one. And that's really something that I had to contend with quite a lot. It's going to feel messy and you're going to have to be okay with that. I remember sending videos to very close friends. Like, I know this looks terrible, but what do you think? And they were like, you're going to get there. Don't worry. I mean, they're so supportive. And when you can tap into the feeling of when you used to ride and keep that clear in your mind and do the visualizations, you'll step into it sooner. But be okay with just having what we call a new normal and just going, you know what, there's only so much I can do today, and that's okay. And give yourself that grace and just let yourself breathe and enjoy every moment. And just know any time in the saddle is a blessing. And you'll get there. And go slow. Listen to your body so you don't hurt yourself and don't push yourself too hard. Okay, so Sandra wanted to know what are the best groundwork exercises to do before getting in the saddle. So I'm just going to share what I do. I usually start out lunging my horse with the cavesson with the ring on top of their nose. And I have them move out whatever they want to do on the lunge. So if they just want to walk, that's cool. If they want to start cantering, that's cool. I just let them do their thing. And then once they've expressed themselves however they need, then I very slowly ask them for some basic transitions. I'll say, okay, can we do walk, trot? Can we do trot, canter, things like that. And then once they are warmed up and their blood circulation's going, then I'll usually saddle them up. And if I feel like they need to be lunged again, I'll lunge them again with the saddle and make sure they're fine with that and not having any weird hoppies. And then from there, I will then hand walk them with the bridle on at that point. And I will just do little jaw releases if we need to get them to soften and relax and stretch down. and then I'll just hand walk them around the arena and make sure there are no boogeymen in the arena, and that anytime they feel tense, I stand and breathe and ask them to relax there. So very basic. And then you can do real basic walking serpentines, walking figure eights, changes of direction, whatever you feel like doing. And you might want to do that like your first 5 or 6 sessions before you actually get on. So you do all sorts of groundwork that way first. Or you get on, walk for 30 seconds, hop off. And most of the exercise is just them doing the groundwork. And you walking with them. Walking with them is awesome. You can't go wrong with that. So if you can walk, like matching steps is always a good one too. And breathing as you go, and being aware of your energy and your horse's energy, and inviting them to relax anytime they start to feel tense. I throw in little cookies here and there whenever Pepper does his nice stretch and a little bit of flexion, and that helps remind him to move his body nicely and stay calm. So all these little details are nice to play with. Walk, whoa, breathe with them. And say it out loud so they're reminded of your voice cues. That helps too. And then, so what I do is I use my body language, my voice, and then of course my telepathy. So I'm sending the images of what I want them to do. I'll do that on the lunge line as well. I'll imagine the shape I want them to be in, and then I also present that with my body. I kind of stretch my head and neck down. I lift my back a little, like, here, stretch. Things like that, and that should help too. Just go slow with it. And if they're a little too wild, that's not your day to ride. You know, just let them be, and that's okay. I've had moments like that with Pepper where something in the woods just that day was not really being nice to him, and he was just bugged out. And we've had that like 2 or 3 times so far. You know, I've now ridden him 150 times. I've actually written it down. It's amazing. So out of 150, we've had 3 times where I had to say, don't worry about it, go run around. That's not so bad. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so hopefully that helped you, Sandra. Tamar, planning for the ride. So be okay for the plan to change. I'm sure you know this already. Of course, do some of the groundwork that I mentioned. You can do it at Liberty as well if you feel more comfortable that way. That's always fun. And then connect, send love and appreciation. You know, do your mounting block ritual, even if it's not at the mounting block. Connect with your horse, let them know your plan, see how they feel about it, notice how they're reacting. And then, you know, of course, you can listen to the meditations beforehand. Writing in the companion journal before is always good, and after, of course. And then you can write down what you did or not. And then be sure your body feels good. So something I was telling my private group, I felt so good in my last bareback ride because I made the point to get in the gym, get on the treadmill for a while, do some yoga, and then foam roll the poop out of my inside legs, inner legs and thighs, so they would relax. And I got those muscles so soft and supple because they get tight. And so when I got on Pepper, I felt like, I can just relax with him, and he enjoyed it a lot more too. So foam rolling hurts, but it's worth it. So definitely look into that if you haven't already. I know you're doing the yoga consistently, which I'm really impressed with. So yeah, keep up with that, and that will help. So the more your body feels good, like I said, strong and ready and supple, the easier it's going to be for you to get on. And just ask your horse what he's ready for, and he'll tell you. So just go with the flow of it. Enjoy the process. I think that's the most interesting part. People take for granted. They're just like, I need to just get to this place. Like, why don't you just enjoy being with your horse and knowing, hey, I get to sit on him. This is such a privilege. You know, things like that. But you get that. I know you do. And then for more specific plans, day 190 of yoga. Holy moly, that's amazing. I'm so impressed with you. Now, I'm really excited because she actually got started when I had suggested doing the yoga with Adrian, like 30-day program, and she just never stopped. So that was really cool. I'm very proud of you, Tamar. That's really cool. All right. So, I think, and then one more question was with Kara. Kara wanted to know some creative ways to help her horse who has some limited issues with his recovery. So, my suggestion actually came in last night. You have your Nox gear, okay? You have your Nox gear, put it on, and set up a playlist of music. Experiment with the playlist. Maybe some upbeat music, maybe some really quiet music, maybe some of the meditations. And what you're going to do is you're going to walk with him with the music playing. We're going to have you do freeze dance. So then you're going to hit the button to stop the music, and then you're going to breathe and settle and relax. And then you're going to put the music back on, and then you're going to march and walk on again. So let it be a fun game. I think that could be really cool. So that was my suggestion for you. So a lot of the walk, whoa, breathe. If you can back up, that's cool too. If not, keep walking. Whatever he's allowed to do. But yeah, try the freeze dance. See if that works for you. I'm just really passionate about this subject because I've now had 5 surgeries over the years. Yes. And I had moments. I was telling someone in the comments, I think after my stomach surgery, I think I told my husband, like, for a brief down moment, like, maybe I shouldn't ride again. And he just looked at me like, don't say that. And yeah, and so I was able to flip the script and go, no, I will ride again and I'll have fun. And now it's like, I can't wait to ride again. And now I'm just waiting for the weather to feel better. Because right now it's so humid, I don't like to push the pony. So there are going to be days where you're going to feel down. And that's okay. We're human. That's going to happen. But just remember, you can keep reaching for the better feeling thoughts. So if you guys are Abraham Hicks fans, definitely get on YouTube and listen to some of that, and it'll raise your vibration big time. Or you can listen to my meditations, or you can check out any other of my services, or do a power session with me, and I'll be your biggest cheerleader. Okay? So there you go. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being amazing, inspired riders. And may the horse be with you always.